What's up, YouTube? My name is Jason, and this is my take. And I'm back with a couple videos for you guys this week, and we're gonna start off with the review of the new Vince Staples album, Ramona Park Broke My Heart. It's been less than a year and we get another Vince Staples album, and I personally have no issues with that because over the last few years, Vince Staples has easily been one of the best rappers in hip hop, and you really wouldn't expect it just given how he's not really out there as much and just how he carries himself, but he's really been on a run. And in my opinion, that started with his album Big Fish Theory, which was his sophomore album. And I say in my opinion because a lot of people didn't really like this album and kind of the direction that Vince went, which was kind of paying homage to the original LA, like West Coast sound, which incorporated house music as well as hip hop. I personally just like the versatility of the record and how Vince still got introspective and just kind of the experimentation that he did. And following this, we get two records produced by Kenny Beats exclusively. The first being FM, which was just a very fun summer record. And then we get last year's self-titled Vince Staples, which really saw Vince taking a more low-key, like dark approach, and just talking about his usual concepts of, you know, street life and gang violence and just his upbringing in his neighborhood. And personally, I never heard Vince so low-key, but yet so comfortable. And it felt more like who Vince actually is as a person, as opposed to his more energetic music, which I still love. And so while I was so surprised to hear it, it was easily his best record to date. So I was definitely surprised seeing over here that we got a new record, Ramona Park Broke My Heart, but I was just curious to see what we were getting into and what Vince would be delivering. And the run continues, man, because Vince continues with that dark, low-key tone on Ramona Park Broke My Heart over here. And it makes for easily some of his best and catchiest songs yet, which is still just shocking to me, given just how he doesn't have as much energy. He's very much more serious in his delivery, but yet it's still making for some of his best music. And we get more of those themes of just Ramona Park in his neighborhood, violence, gang culture, what success has done to Vince in terms of how it's made him feel, especially in reflecting on where he's come from to where he is now. And this man impresses me every time. And if we're not talking about Vince as one of the best rappers in the game, I don't know what we're doing. So let's just jump into the highlights. We got quite a bit to talk about. First, we got the song A, Free the Homies. And the production on this track really gives us a taste of what we're gonna get throughout the album, which is that bouncy West Coast type music. And man, does Vince fit perfectly over this sound, which we've heard before, but not, you know, in totality of his catalog. So, you know, it was just so fitting, his voice over this sound. And you can tell just how much he loves and respects the roots and the hip hop that he came up on. And with this track, it seems like, you know, with the title of this album, Ramona Park Broke My Heart, it seems like, you know, Ramona Park broke his heart in how many hometown friends either died or were locked up because of their environment. The song DJ QUIK was another highlight for me. Samples legendary rapper and producer DJ QUIK's Dollars and Cents. And I love how Vince uses this in the hook. It is so simple, yet effective and catchy. As Vince just discusses the hustle and how money, you know, specifically is such a huge motivator in keeping that up. We get our first of two Mustard collaborations on the song Magic. When I think about it, this is actually a perfect rapper-producer combo, as Mustard is one of the big producers when it comes to the LA, California, West Coast hip-hop sound. And he gives Vince a perfect sound to rap over. The synth bass on this track did what needed to be done. And I also love the "You Know How We Do It" sample that's sprinkled throughout this track, which was originally by Ice Cube. When we hear the term sparks fly, we usually think of a couple, and that's what we get on the song When Sparks Fly, except This is about Vince and his gun. So on the first verse, Vince is talking to his gun, but as if it's a person, and it just shows in general how important it is for Vince to have a weapon on him given his environment and what he may run into. And the second verse is interesting as it's actually from the perspective of the gun, you know, like speaking to Vince. It's like as if they're writing a letter to Vince, who's actually been in jail for a couple years, and just kind of speaking on how lonely they are and how, you know, the cops came in looking for me and, you know, you're not around. So that was really an interesting take. We kind of heard this on different songs before where people are talking to an item or as if it's a person, and just kind of showing the significance of that relationship. The song Slide is just such a simple banger. This track hits on all fronts in my opinion, and Vince has a little more energy on this track compared to the other ones, which there was the only way it could. When you hear this track, you'll know what I mean. There's no way Vince could just be low key on this one. He had to bring it a little bit more. And slide is just being repeated on the hook. Just that word like 10, 11 times, but that's all it needed, honestly. Nothing else was needed on the hook. Vocal sample on the song PAPERCUTS gives it such a dark tone, and it's honestly still stuck in my head. Also interesting on this track, hearing Vince talk about how money took him away from so many things, whether it's, you know, taking the time to grieve for, you know, lost loved ones, or when it comes to pursuing relationships, like money was always just the most important thing to Vince, and always getting his bread was just something that he had to be focused on. So he didn't have time for other things, or didn't make time. Easily the bounciest track on this album is Lemonade featuring Dolla. And yes, Vince and Dolla team up once again, and they make another one, man. They always work well together. I also enjoy Vince's singing on here, as Lemonade is Vince kind of talking about the bittersweet nature of the life that he lived in and just where he came from. I love Lemonade, so I can't relate to the term bittersweet, but I understand what Vince is saying on here. Finally, we have the outro, The Blues. And despite this being a drumless track, there's a lot of feeling to it, in my opinion. It seems like in this closer here, Vince is just tired and is just going through the motions at this point. He discusses how the money has made him numb, how success is really just guilt and stress from his perspective. But at the same time, it's not really something that other people could see. Like he has to, you know, keep things up, and he doesn't really show these emotions and show these things. So it's just the cycle for him. Like, this is just the position that I'm in. This is the success that I have, and it's a lot of difficulties and hardships with it, but it's whatever. Like, you know, it's just how it is. You know, and kind of hearing Vince in interviews and how he kind of talks about success and different things, like this perspective honestly makes sense. And Vince is just not an overly like braggadocious or type of person. So, you know, having this perspective of just like, it just is what it is. Like, this is where I am, and this is how I feel about it. It honestly makes a lot of sense. Now, there was only one track that really disappointed me, and I hate that it was East Point Prayer that features Lil Baby. And honestly, the beat was cool. Like it didn't do anything crazy for me, but I thought it was nice. And I thought that Vince himself, despite this probably being the lowest type of energy that he's had on the album, like I still thought he delivered a cool performance. But that mixed with Lil Baby just having an awful performance just didn't make this track hit. It was really surprising, Lil Baby's performance on here. His singing was bad. And for how slow this track was, like I knew he was gonna come in on more of a singing type of flow, but it just didn't do it, man. It felt lazy, and I just wanted a lot more from him. But other than that, man, Vince came through with arguably his best album to date. I'll have to go back to his self-titled project from last year to kind of see, but this was another great project from Vince, who's still on the run, still one of the best rappers in the game. And interesting enough, Vince said that this album here is kind of like the last album in which he's kind of gonna discuss his neighborhood and, you know, gang violence, street life, and where he came from, and going into new content. So I'm very curious to know what that will be, what he's gonna get into, because despite Vince's content kind of being the same, like it's always hit in my opinion, and I've never gotten tired of it, but I'm always here for whatever Vince has going on, and I'm excited to see what new direction he goes in terms of that content. So I'm gonna give this album an 8.5 out of 10. So what'd you guys think of this new Vince Staple project? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What were your favorite tracks? Let's have a discussion down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Got another video coming. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm Jason. This has been my take, and I'll see you next time.